this time, members, have a motion that we open the meeting.
Make a motion that we open the meeting of the Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation on March 13th, 2013.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Welcome to the March 13th, 2013 meeting of the Architectural Board of Review and Historic Preservation. My name is Curtis Highsmith, and I am your chair. We would like to introduce our panel. We are waiting for Ham Hogue. We would like to welcome Christina Redding, Brian Brady. We'd like to welcome our historic consultant, Zach Studenroth, our legal counsel, Bill Robinson, and Antoinette, as always. We welcome you as well. We're going to start this evening's meeting with signs and the first application for signs.
First application is Patricia O'Neill for an architect sign.
I resubmitted the design.
Your name for the record,
Oh,
just.
I'm Patricia O'Neill.
Okay. Members, any comments?
Nope.
Brian?
That's fine.
No, right.
Any public comments on the application? We thank you for the revisions.
Thank you.
Motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve this sign application for Patricia O'Neill, architect.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next application, please.
Next application is M&T Bank.
Good evening, my name is Lydia Jimenez. I'm here for M&T Bank. We're replacing 2 wall signs. They are to remain the same size as the existing signs. They're wood engraved. I have a sample of the colors if you would like to take a look at them.
Christine, any comments?
Are these your corporate colors?
Just gets brighter all the time.
Kitty.
Oh, I see. It's just replacing that.
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Not backlit.
No,
The lanterns are remaining the same.
correct.
Cardboard or
They're engraved.
engraved. Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve?
Make a motion that we approve the sign application for M&T Bank on 25 Hill Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good luck.
And I
Next application, please.
Next application is for Brockett Funeral Home.
Stacy Menzer, Hampton Signs. Hi.
Aye. Board members, any questions?
No.
No, it's fine.
Any question on the application? Any comments? Anything further? I don't have to make it this easy if you wish.
I'll have questions on my others, so make this one
Okay.
easy.
Motion to approve.
Make a motion that we approve the sign application for Brockett Funeral Home on Hampton Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks.
Next application, please.
Next application is for California Closets.
Is the applicant present?
What's it look like?
Pretty simple.
Straight black and white sign. California Closet. Board members, any questions?
No.
No, it's fine.
Any public comments on the application? Okay, just assume it was so simple we couldn't mess it up. Huh? Motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the sign for California Closets at 619 Hampton Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next application, please.
Next application is ABOPS Paints.
Stacy Menzer, Hampton Signs.
White background, red lettering. Is this the font?
Yes, it is.
Is that within the size code? I don't know, so they-
Signed off by code enforcement.
28 inches. 39 inches.
Any questions, Christine?
No, it looks kind of large, but I guess it's signed off.
Yeah.
Is there a numerical reference to it?
There are dimensions on it, yeah.
Yes. 28 by 2.
No, I mean the lettering, as to the height of the lettering.
What is the size of the lettering?
I thought it was on the original application. I'll have to get back to you on that.
Are they raised letters or?
They are raised letters.
Sorry, just the overall size of the sign, not the actual individual lettering. Brian's that deter you in any way?
No, I think it's fine. It's
Christine?
got a
No,
good color
maybe
scheme
okay.
going.
Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve?
Make a motion that we approve the sign application for Abuff's Paints at 31 Hampton Road.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Next application, please.
Next application is Long Island Bone and Joint.
Stacy Menzer, Hampton Signs. I just gave you a redraw of that.
That would be this.
That would be that.
Address, Long Island Bone and Joint. Names of the doctors, office, MRI, physical therapy, a website, and a telephone number. That would be the top. Bottom. James Brady, MD, plastic and hand surgery. It seems a little busy. Physical
Okay.
location, the address, maybe a telephone number, but it just seems very, very, very busy.
Can we keep the doctors' names in there?
Just take the website off.
Website, center to telephone number.
Sorry?
Take out the websites,
Instead of the phone
center
number?
the telephone number.
I think it's important to have the
Can I hand
doctor's
this up?
name.
Are you funny?
Sorry.
She knew.
Sorry.
You've been here before, huh?
I've been here before. There are 12 people on that committee.
Christine.
You read our minds.
Brian?
Okay.
Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the sign application for Long Island Bone and Joint and 686 County Road 39.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
I have one more.
Next application, please.
Next application is Flowers by Topaz.
Stacy Menzer, Hampton Signs.
Okay, so the blacked out oval, that would be where your lanterns
Those are
going?
representing the lights, yeah.
Okay, and you have a rendering of the goose down lanterns. What's the illumination, do you know the wattage of the bulb?
I believe that we're allowed up to 75.
So you're saying you're maxing out to 75?
We're going to certainly try.
This is two locations. It's going to be the front.
Front
as-
and back. The back one is not going to be lit.
Brian, comments?
That's fine.
A
Christine?
little strange. I'm fine.
Thank you.
Any public comment on the application? The application will be on the front as well as the rear of the building. Any public comment? Anything further from the board?
Nope.
Motion to approve?
Make a motion that we approve Flowers by Topaz and Jagger Lane, 2 storefront signs.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next application.
Next application is for EA&H Hildreth, Inc. for an awning.
Michelle Ilgus.
It's just an awning on the.
West Main
what's the-
Street.
It's the alley, the West Main.
West Main, exactly.
Is there an awning there now that you're
There is
replacing?
no awning that we're replacing. This is just to make it look more like a storefront, less industrial.
Retractable or just aesthetic?
Retractable, yes.
Brian, any comments?
No, I think it's fine.
Christine?
No.
Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the awning on West Main Street for EA&H Hildreth Inc.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Concludes our sign permits for this evening. First application, historic. The applicant has requested yet again another adjournment. This time a definitive date until the 27th of March. Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn until the 27th.
I make a motion that we approve the applicant Calvin Klein at 650 Meadow Lane's request to adjourn to our meeting on March 27th, 2013.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next application, we have written decision by council.
Decision is in the folder, Mr. Chairman, approving the application as submitted. An affirmative vote on the resolution would be to approve the application.
Motion to approve written decision by council for Peter Sloan.
I make a motion that we approve Peter Sloan at 353 First Neck Lane for the driveway gates, the written decision by our council.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next application, also written decision by council.
Mr. Chairman, the file contains a decision approving the application as submitted. I'd just like to inform the board, though, that the way the depiction of the gates on the survey, the posts actually straddled two different parcels of land. The other parcel is indicated on the survey as being owned by Mr. Pine and his wife. So there was no easement agreement proposed or discussed. I referred to that in the decision. That really not the jurisdiction of the board, but it may have been a technicality. There should have been two applications submitted.
Okay.
But anyway, assuming that it was, it's been approved as is and duly noted in the record.
Very good. Thank you, council. Motion to approve written decision by council.
I make a motion that we approve the written decision by council for John Pine at 451 Hill Street for the driveway entry gates.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Concludes our historic applications for this evening.
There's one more.
One more? Yes, I'm sorry. Next application.
Next application is for Leslie Biddle, 257 South Main Street.
Ladies and gentlemen, do you have copies of the drawings? Because I have small copies here.
Oh, that would be great.
Yeah, that's for you to look at. Here are a couple of pictures you can look at, but I've got 3 copies or 2 if you want. How many you want? Here you go.
Copies that you're sending match that which is currently in our file.
That's correct. These are exact copies of what we submitted. This is a modification to an already approved application. We're making modifications. There was a deck on the north and the northwest side of the house. We're lowering that deck and taking away some of the handrail to ease the circulation.
If we can go to our elevations
Yeah,
and
so-
be able to show. Could you explain to us exactly what
Let's-
elevation you refer
Let's
to?
go to the first element. All the new work is circled. So if we go to the elevations on sheet A402, this is an east elevation. So what we're doing is, the previous application, the deck was all at one height with a railing all the way around. We're lowering it down and making it a lower profile.
Okay.
And then on this elevation, it does show the door beyond, but let's not focus on that on this elevation. If we then go to next sheet, which is the south elevation, and what this is showing is the front door, which is the picture that I just gave you, that picture. There was an old porch there that we've taken off the original application. We were going to recess the door back, which is what we were trying to copy from one of the very old original photographs. It's proven to be technically infeasible. There was a wall there that we couldn't quite fit it in, and it was going to be restructured. So we're going to leave the door exactly the way it is, and then just do the new porch with that door. So that's that elevation. And then the other thing, what we're doing, if you also look at this picture, if I can just hold it up. This door, we were going to be putting an awning over it. We're now just going to be removing that door.
Okay.
With the lower deck, we've got better circulation on the other side of the house. Okay. And then if we go to the next sheet, is to do with the pool house, cottage, whatever you want to call it, at the, on the other part of the property. We're now replacing the windows, so we need to do egress windows in the bedrooms. So there are slightly larger windows in the 2 upstairs bedrooms to meet the egress requirements. We're also taking away one of the sliding doors we had before, covering another existing slider. So we're trying to simplify the elevation. And the other thing we'd like to be able to do is remove the concrete and the stainless steel food chimneys. We're going to be putting a gas boiler in there. We don't need the chimneys anymore. So,
Just trying to get a site plan here, exactly where that
that was the front.
second story deck is, I'm sorry, now that second story deck is gonna be on the accessory structure. Is that facing pool in, or,
Sorry, facing towards the pool. That was on the original application. That part of the application
That
hasn't
was
changed.
pre-existing, right? It was already approved, that was.
It was all approved through the ZBA.
Remember that, yeah.
okay.
Oh, yeah, so. Yeah, this proved to be, I know you were interested in this, proved to be much the way we thought it was just gonna be too hard to try and go back to what we thought was the original, the math.
Right.
Brian?
Oh, sorry, David Berridge?
It's fine.
No comments? Christine?
No, I think it's fine.
I think the changes are minimum, but I yield to our historic consultant. Any change in the historical significance of the structure? Minimal. So,
Yeah, on the record, off the record, as clients are, they always want more since this application's come in. There's 2 doors you'd like to enlarge, and so if you look at the next 2 pictures, and if you deem this to go for another application, we will, but I just want to get a sense of how you would like to treat this. On the first picture, this is from the lake on the west
Which
side.
elevation are we looking at now?
This is this picture.
West.
okay, we don't have,
Oh,
I'm sorry.
Okay,
So this is the porch facing the west.
Sure.
This is
okay.
a double door. We'd like to make this into a 3-leaf door, sort of centered on the 2 columns,
Makes sense.
looking out over the lake, using the same divided lights as we have. And then the other thing we're thinking of doing is, this is on the north side, where there's a screened-in porch. There's going to be a door from the dining room coming out here. We're proposing putting a door in here, just a screened-in door to go into the screened-in porch. If you have objections or you want us to have a...
Are you proposing that? Is that on?
The client brought it up last week, and I thought, well, do we have to come in and do it all again?
Well, that would have to be represented here on the plans, so I just want you
Okay,
to,
so we will do that.
You would
As long
have
as
to
you
do
have no
it.
objections to it, we'll proceed with it.
I don't think there'll be
I
any
don't-
objections, but you could also do the board a major justice, since you have to come back with the revised plans. You can also have an itemized sheet, just illustrating exactly, point by point, what the changes will be on the structure. It is in a historic district and therefore requires written decision to do a modification. Therefore, it helps us to modify that written decision.
Okay, I
Okay?
understand, yeah.
Counsel, do you have any objection to that?
To what again?
Having him itemize what the changes are, so when you do your written decision, you're able
This
to.
application?
Yes.
I've already got them written down, so he doesn't.
Yeah, there
need
was
to.
a...
Okay.
Can I make a suggestion? If the applicant's coming back in at a next meeting
It's
for a
another
few
application.
other minor adjustments, that we spare council the effort of preparing 2 separate reports.
I'm not sure what you mean.
Well, he's saying, do you want him to come back and incorporate into a revised plan? So
We
we'll
couldn't, we
go-
couldn't make a decision until that's prepared.
Okay.
We,
So we have to do
but,
separately?
with,
I see.
in lieu of that,
Yeah.
I would ask council if you would prepare, but we wouldn't vote on until we actually see the
Yeah, I'll
changes.
prepare a decision for this
Okay.
application.
So what
and then
he'll do
next
is prepare the
time you can
decision.
Present the other one and
So, to get it right, so the work that I proposed on this, with all the bubbles, we can proceed with that work.
correct, 6 items, and I'll
We got it. And this may be the other thing, as we know, clients are constantly changing their minds. If there's anything else coming down the pipe, if I hold back a little bit, keep you appraised of what's going on, that won't be a
Yeah,
problem.
if you're not gonna
I don't want
be
to
here-
keep coming
yeah,
back,
Right.
because they do keep changing their
Do
minds.
you want these back or should
No,
we-
would you, I'll take them if you don't want them.
Yeah, they're not stamped into the record, so.
Once again, thank you for your help.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
What do you mean down
So at this time, we're going to adjourn for a written decision by council. In lieu of, we also must see that the plans have been modified, and we will not vote on that until the plans are seen. So in
For the-
other
for
words,
the-
the
for-
written decision will be prepared next week, but we won't approve it until we can acknowledge that you've made the changes on the plans.
No, well, my understanding, if I wanted to ask you, we were going to be going ahead with that. If it was going to cause a problem, we wouldn't do it
We
this
have
year,
no
we'd do it
objection.
next year. What I'd like to have, please, if it's possible, all the changes shown on these drawings can be approved.
Well, they can't be approved today anyway. It
No,
has to be.
well, I mean, go through the normal process. I don't want it held up on these
Okay.
other changes.
So you don't want the doors, the additional doors that you were referring to, added to the plans?
If it slows it down, no.
It's the
Okay.
same time.
No,
No,
he'd
he's
have to
saying
make
he
another
wants-
application with
Yeah.
another posting.
Okay,
et cetera, et
okay.
cetera.
Make another
They might change
application,
their
so-
mind.
Yeah,
It's fine.
I just don't want to keep coming back every
Yeah.
month either. I want to be able to do it all at
Okay,
once.
I
next
get
time.
it.
Okay, thank you very much.
No worries.
So is he asking us to adjourn?
We're adjourning for written decision. Doesn't
Okay.
have to ask. Motion to adjourn for written decision by council.
I make a motion that we adjourn Leslie Biddle at 257 South Main Street for written decision by our council.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. First application, non-historic.
First application is Jacqueline Eaton Garland at 118 Burnett Street.
Hi. Hi,
Hi.
I'm Patricia O'Neill. I'm the architect. Jackie Garland couldn't be here tonight, and she submitted a letter to the village to be read into the record.
They would have it up there.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that you have a copy of that. I have a copy here. We took your comments from the first meeting, and I also submitted with the revised drawings a revision summary of the changes from the original application. And I'll show you on the model. We reduced the roof pitch to a 10 pitch, so we lowered the whole roof. So the overall height is 30 feet 3 inches. We lowered it 2 feet 3 inches from the original application. We reduced the cupola to a 20 by 20 inch cupola. That's not on the model. We omitted the half-round feature window and the panel detail on the front facade. We omitted the chimney. We omitted the diamond patterned shutters on, shingles on the front facade. We omitted the decorative brackets at this gable end too, at the gable end too. So we really simplified. We took a lot of that decorative detail. That's now all gone. We also eliminated the clip gable and just did a simple shed roof on the side elevation. So the forward front facade is now in one plane. The frieze board is continuous around the house, so there's a nice horizontal band that wraps the house. We simplified the front facade fenestration, and again, just the simple hip roof on the east elevation. So those are really the changes. And then we just added, just painted shutters on the new front double hung windows. And then we just added a small window at the very top gable with shutters. The shutter that we're proposing is a real cedar shutter with real hardware. So that's really the changes, all the changes that we're proposing from the original application.
What is the total, you say you reduced the height of the roof
Yes, it's 30 feet 3 inches to the
Okay.
top ridge.
from?
From 30, the original was, 32 feet 6 inches.
Okay. Anything further?
No.
Quite a bit of letters here, so I'm sure they want to be read. And before we begin comment, I want the letters read into our record.
Sure.
Okay?
Some of the letters are duplicate, but one of them has a petition on the back.
Yes, yes, yes. How many times did they send this?
And the one from the next one, it came in this morning.
Just want to make sure you don't get duplicates.
Do you want requests to be run into the record?
Yes. That would be a duplicate.
Is this the one from Sobel?
It's a duplicate. Read already.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, so the first one here is it's from the neighbors of 118 Burnett, so it's a group letter. And it's stating Article 116-30. Do you want me to read the whole, it's basically a quote from the.
You don't need to
Okay.
read the code.
All right, so that's quoted, and then it says, "We have had only a brief time to review the revised plans for the new house at 118 Burnett Street. We do not find them to be a design which shall aid in creating a balanced and harmonious composition as it relates to this particular location. Although the proposal shows a welcome reduction of the pseudo-colonial millwork of the previous one, it does not address the more important aspects of the design, the negative visual impact of the height and the bulk of the proposed building on its immediate neighbors and neighborhood and streetscape. If the proposed design is viewed in the context of its existing neighboring houses, it will be obvious that it is too massive and too tall. The house on either side of 118 are built so that the gables face towards the sides of the property. There is a strong horizontal quality to both existing neighboring houses and 104 Burnett Street, which is created by the cornices above the first stories and at the top of the second-story dormer windows and the roof lines of these houses. In contrast to these existing houses, 118 Burnett has a strong vertical emphasis. Its facade has been I know this word, I'm just having trouble getting it out. Compartmentalized, into several bays. It has two gables facing the street. It has high attic floors. Little or no possibility exists in this design to minimize the visual impact of the height of the proposed house by the use of strong horizontals, such as at 104, which has a similar gross floor area. And then it states Article 116-33. And then it closes by saying, as neighbors who will have to live with the consequences of this proposal, which we know will have a negative aesthetic and perhaps even economic impact on our neighborhood, we urge the board to reject it. And this is signed by all the neighbors. And then this letter is from Janet Macri and Georgiana Macri, and it says, "Dear board members, In the event of my absence, I requested this letter be read out loud at the next meeting. I chose to buy a home in the village of Southampton because of the charm and small-town ambience. It was welcome respite from the energy, noise, and chaos of New York City. I have seen many changes since the purchase of my home at 69 Little Plains Road and corner of Burnett Street back in 1988. Some for the better, like the beautiful new Rogers Memorial Library, and some for the worse, like the traffic jams being awakened in the middle of the night by noise and the unsightly McMansions infiltrating our quaint village. It didn't take long for the Burnett Street to be changed from a two-way to a one-way street when a disgruntled neighbor complained about the influx of traffic and vehicles parked on this narrow little street due to the overflow from the courthouse. Now with the proposed plan for a possible two-family resident at 118 Burnett Street with two front door entrances, 4 parking spaces, Burnett Street will once again be littered with vehicles and overcrowding. I have several concerns regarding this plan. Firstly, I have never seen a plan, only a few rough sketches enclosed in this email, which provide no information as to the size of the placement of these proposed structures. I suggest that a complete set of architectural plans, both exterior and interior, be available to the homeowners on Burnett Street to be reviewed. From the information that I have received so far, I believe that the size of this home would overpower its small lot and the neighboring homes. The new floor plan has a footprint of 1,128 square feet, extending 300 to 400 feet more than the existing home, and along with a 276 square foot pool house, the pool, size omitted but which would take up at least 1,000 square feet, and this 4-car parking lot, 1,080 square feet, using the standard 275 square feet per vehicle. This sounds too cluttered on a little 6,534 square foot lot. This may be in violation of the zoning code, as there is little room for the required setbacks to be in place or adequate front lawn. Okay, this one is from Susan Sable at 110, and she says, I own and live in the house next door at 110 Burnett Street, west of 118 Burnett Street, now owned by Jacqueline Eaton Garland. I have concerns regarding this plan submitted to Southampton Village to demolish the house on the property and build a new, much larger house, a full house and a pool. I received no notice of this hearing review scheduled for 2/27/13 until Friday evening, which is 2/22/13. When I heard about it from a neighbor, I then left a message from Ms. Patricia O'Neill's requesting plans and the drawings. She relayed my message to Ms. Garland, who called and faxed me the notice and drawings. I heard from some neighbors on Burnett Street who only received their notice Monday, only 2 days ago. I'm not saying that this is Ms. Garland's fault, but by the time these notices went out and were delivered, it was too late and unfair to all of us who live and own on Burnett Street to investigate the situation and do what we need to do. I wanted to attend this meeting tonight, but since I'm out of state recovering from a major surgery and chemotherapy, plus it's too expensive to fly and impossible to arrange on such short notice. It is difficult to figure out what is going on with this building plan by looking at select drawings that I received by fax from Ms. Garland. She advised me that the new house is basically the same footprint as the old one. The old house is 852 square feet, and the new house will be 2,252 square feet. Looking at the drawings, the roof looks like it's twice as high as the second story. There's no attic. It is unclear as to how this footage adds up. There are 2 exterior front doors designed very close together. Ms. Garland advised me that these 2 doors are not for multifamily dwellings as it appears on the drawings, and it appeared to neighbors who saw the drawings and questioned. Ms. Garland advised me that the one door opens to a mudroom that leads to the kitchen, and the other front door is to a living room. She advised me there are no bedrooms downstairs and no full bath, only a powder room. There are 3 bedrooms upstairs on the 2nd floor and 1 bathroom. We need to see the interior plans. It is understood that Southampton Village requires a parking space for each bedroom. Why are there 4 designated parking spaces? Isn't this a lot of concrete on such a small lot, even if it's pebbled? My house is only 1 story and measures well under 700 square feet. Won't the house in question block my light, impinge on my house and dwarf it, as well as look out of place on our coming block? My lot is slightly bigger than 118, and I can't imagine a much larger house than mine on this little lot, plus a pool and a pool house. I'm not an architect. My background is in design. I've practiced for many years. Between the height and bulk of the house, it looks out of whack and overstuffed. Then there's a pool house and a pool. Many neighbors on our block are unhappy with the size and design of the new house at 118. Miss Garland is a realtor, and that's why I asked if she was building the house for herself or to sell. She isn't sure. It would be a shame if a probable speculator gets to build a house that many neighbors feel is out of place on the block, only to sell it for profit, while the ones who own and live on the block have to suffer potential numerous consequences affecting the quality of their lives, me included. When I mention to folks that I live on Burnett Street, everyone exclaims, "Oh, what a lovely and charming street." If this has overgrown houses for the lot is built, it won't be the case anymore. I don't want to feel bad and have to sell my house. This is how street change for the worst. I always rent my house during the summer season to help pay my mortgage. Last summer I rented for $28,000, and since the season is longer than last, I plan to rent it for $32,000. If Miss Garland plans to build between Memorial Day weekend and Labor Day, no one will rent my house. This town thrives on seasonal tourism. People flock here for the village for their summer respite from their working lives. Who would choose to rent next door to a construction site with noise, dirt, lack of privacy, and no sense of relaxation and peace, the exact things that draw people to our neighborhood in the first place? Not renting my house for the summer would be a major hardship for me. Ms. Garland informed me that all exterior construction, pool house, and pool would be finished before Memorial Day weekend begins. The workmen would be working the interior only. No noise and no dirt. What does this mean? Plans approved, permits issued, foundation finished, framing finished, walls up, windows and sills and trims finished, shingles and roof finished, exterior pool house finished, pool finished, all in about 2.5 months. When I spoke with John Foster's office, I was advised Miss Garland would probably get her permits by mid-May, providing plans and whatever else is necessary were approved. Memorial Day weekend begins 5/23. When the plans and drawings are complete, we'd like our attorney to review them. Also, I'd like my request considered that Miss Garland begin construction after Labor Day. At this time, it seems there are several unresolved issues to work out before construction can begin. Okay, the next one here is from Joy Marks into the records. Okay, my family and I purchased the house at 124 Burnett Street in 1999, and we have no objection to the new home to be built at 118 Burnett Street. I received the plans from her architect today and have spoken to the new owners and her family this week. I found out too late to attend the meeting and may not be able to attend the next meeting, as I had surgery on February 1st and most likely will not be traveling from Upper Grandview, New York. I will be going over the plans, the revised plans, this evening. I am not sure why there is such a concern over the rental or future rental of my property, because I did not rent the house for the first 10 years and only rented to help with some expenses as the economy has been on a downward slide. Also, I am not sure why they assume the house going in at 118 Burnett Street has any plans to rent it out, no matter what the size is. I decorated the house, not ever thinking anyone else would inhabit our beautiful home. I tried to make sure that people would respect the neighborhood and others, but one rental season. That was not the case. The realtors assured me that a pediatric dermatologist would be a great tenant. When he called because he needed them to help with the house and needed me to come out, I found out otherwise and warned him to cease and desist ruining my property, public drunk and disorderly conduct, and not to have so many people in the house as it was unlawful. I called my realtors to try to get him removed. No one called me to tell me about this subhuman creature living in my beautiful home. Others on the block also rent out their homes, and there has been times that I've been unable to get into my own driveway but did not complain. It also has been mentioned that emergency vehicles will be unable to get down the block if the new plans are approved, but that is assuming facts, not in evidence for this new home. While I don't know their exact plans, I am sure they or a family will inhabit this new beautiful home. The entire village has homes that are being torn down and rebuilt, and I do not object to it. My house was in good enough condition to just add to it, and I think we did so beautifully. Last year we rented to 2 federal attorneys who were building a new home in the village. In fact, their new home made the post, as their foundation had to be removed and redone, as the builders had made a mistake on its placement. As far as I know, there were no complaints about this couple and their family. I will do everything I can to make sure whatever happened 2 years ago never be repeated. The neighbors would have you believe that they never park on the street, that they never entertain. This is just not the case. They would also have you believe that they never rent their homes. They do. The size of the house has nothing to do with how many cars there will be, as I believe they have room on the plans for 4 cars. The house has to be built the house to be built actually is on the same idea of mine, and I do appreciate what it will look like. I don't think the size has anything to do with future rental or sale. I added on to my home for myself, and I did not add additional bedrooms, but just made them larger and more beautiful. It was never to be a rental home. For the most part, it is only my car in the driveway, and I rarely park on the street. Also, from the letters I have looked at that were submitted to you, they mention an issue with getting into their driveways, and that 118 Burnett Street and 124 Burnett Street, respectively, are the reasons that they don't have access. Nothing could be further from the truth. We both have driveways. Mine being very long, and through the years, it is usually only my car at the house, as my children rarely come out. I think it is the other way around, as I am the only one who can't gain access to my driveway from other neighbors and their tenants or guests. Also, contrary to what has been written, I do not have a strained relationship with anyone on the block at this time. The issues with the neighbors started the moment I moved into my home and the renovations I had planned. They wanted my privet hedges lowered, even though I purchased the house with them, and some people were unhappy with the 3 shrubs that I have on the outside of the house. They were upset because there was noise during the renovation, and even complained the day I had my appliances delivered because the truck partially blocked the street for 20 minutes. Some people were unreasonable, as I never complained about anyone, even though I had issues. My neighbor at 125 Burnett Street, according to this letter, states that he can't gain access to his driveway when they consistently park right outside of mine. It is I who can't gain access. I had my house under siege with my water hose being put into my pool and flooding my entire property, requiring my entire patio to be redone on 2 occasions. Then they took the hose and flooded my basement. I had to disconnect the water on the outside to end the abuse. There are police reports to support this. When I had 2 couples over for a summer barbecue, I caught a neighbor again trying to turn on my water, but when he saw me, he ran for his life. But all of this happened years ago, and now I have a good relationship with my neighbors and have apologized for the rental incident. There was no way to know. When we moved into 124 Burnett Street, we expected some of the other houses to eventually either renovate or rebuild, and some people did just that. I expected 118 Burnett Street, which was an eyesore, to eventually be sold and be replaced or renovated. I am actually thrilled and delighted, as I believe it will enhance the block and add to the value of the existing homes. It has been mentioned to me many times that 118 Burnett Street was ruining the beauty of the street, and that it was too bad I was next door to it. All of this is just deja vu for me all over, as I know what I went through to renovate my house. My neighbors objected to just about everything. I love my house and understand the plight of the new owners and also of my neighbors, but I do want this project to go forward. They are too entitled to enjoy the life on Burnett Street, which is a true village treasure. I do not believe it will be a hindrance to emergency vehicles, and ask my neighbors for tolerance. My commitment to Southampton Village and the surrounding area is great, as I have donated money, my time, and gifts to the Southampton Hospital and the Parish Art Museum since the mid-90s, and many other charitable organizations in the area, including the Watermill Center, Polo, and the Hampton Classic, as well as many others. Thank you in advance for your attention. And that was Joy Marks. Okay, this next one is from Noel Goddard. And this is the owners of 125. It says, Dear board members, if we are not present, we respectfully request that this letter be read into the record. Do you want me to read this one?
Are they present?
So don't read it then?
Are you willing to speak this evening, or do you want it read? It's what we're asking is either or. Would you rather speak
Yes,
or
I'll
read?
speak. It's fine.
Sorry?
I'll speak because the letter that was written before we saw the new plans.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Okay, so that one's out. And now this next one is from Jackie Eaton Garland, which is the owner. And it says, I would like to extend my apologies to the board members for not being able to attend the meeting on Wednesday, March 13th. I had a previous commitment that unfortunately could not be rescheduled. In my absence, I would like to request that this letter be read aloud and noted for the record. I've had some time to digest what occurred at the meeting on February 27th. As I can appreciate the predominantly constructive comments and the direction from the board, I can't quite grasp the rant and disparaging comments from Mr. Kearns. My takeaway from his remarks and photo presentation is that anything I propose should resemble a converted church, an old schoolhouse, a barn. It should have small windows without clip-on grills. It should B, not great, but just okay, and certainly not gross, or maybe he thinks the house should be blue. In my opinion, I believe that what we are proposing is an architecturally interesting home with an evolved look. We worked hard to develop a structure that not only conforms to all aspects of the law and the zoning code, but also has character and interest. We are preserving details and quality materials used to build new like old and in keeping with the fabric of historic Southampton. We stepped back roof lines to reduce the mass, used traditional shapes, added a front porch and architectural elements, so not to just present a square box with a flat roof. By all appearances, Burnett Street is an eclectic mix of homes that comes in all shapes, sizes, and colors. There is not one predominant style of architecture or element that defines it. I believe what we are now proposing at 118 Burnett Street is a vast improvement and in sharp contrast to what exists there now, a 1950s dilapidated asbestos shingled ranch, and not harmonious by anyone's standards. Although charming, Burnett Street is not historic, it is inevitable that this neighborhood, like many neighborhoods, will undergo a gentrification process. In fact, that change has already begun. That being said, it is my opinion that the design we are presenting has all the attributes of a home that will stand the test of time. Working with the constructive comments offered by this board at our last meeting, we have made several changes to the design that we hope you find acceptable and pleasing. I respectfully request that you approve my application at this time. This one doesn't say to read into the record.
Is there any public comment? Please step forward.
My name is Noelle Goddard. I'm a resident at 125 Burnett Street. I'm actually the domestic partner of Leonard Zananti, the home owner. First, perhaps I should read the letter which you referred to earlier, taking a few sentences and changing them because of the new design which is proposed by the architect. As written previously, dear board members, if we are not present, we respectfully request that this letter be read into public record. We are opposed to the application of Jacqueline Eaton Garland for the reconstruction of the property located at 118 Burnett Street because of the design, aesthetics, privacy issues, and elevation shadows to the neighborhood, and particularly the property at 110 Burnett Street. That would be Susan Sable's home, which was previously written. Our family has been in residence at 125 Burnett Street since 1977. We see that the proposed architectural plan for 118 Burnett Street, Southampton, a 2,256 square foot two-story dwelling, as well as 276 square foot pool house, would irrevocably change the architectural nature of Burnett Street as well as the traffic access. A proposed structure of this size mass on Burnett Street would be totally out of place. Burnett Street is currently balanced with homes that are in accord with a particular architectural type. The current homes are unassuming, unobtrusive, unpretentious. They are more historical and simplistic in design. As noted in the previous letter, perhaps this is what some people believe to be plain. Also, this was noted by Board Member Redding at the 227 meeting. The proposed structure for 118 Burnett Street is discordant, in fact hostile to the congruous architectural nature of this quiet street in the heart of the village. We recognize from the proposed design that the architect has attempted to shift the mass of the proposed structure away from the street. This results in a design which is extraordinarily vertical in design. It should be noted that few homes on the street have such significant square footage as well as structural footprint. We are appreciative of the architect's redesign of the facade, particularly the attention to the fenestration and decorative details, to be more similar to the surrounding homes. After viewing the proposed structure, again, we do not understand without seeing the interior plans if the structure will be single or multifamily, though it is in the record that it will be single family, which we understand. To address Ms. Mark's comments, we currently have an outside rental issue with the owner of 124 Burnett Street. Again, our driveway is directly across the street from the front of 124 Burnett Street. Their driveway is catty-corner to ours, so often a car which parks directly in front of Ms. Marks's house actually is completely perpendicular to our driveway. So if we try to back out of our driveway, we're blocked from actually being able to back out of our driveway. And this happens repeatedly during the summer months. So, As Burnett Street is a narrow street, recently declared one-way, as you heard earlier, we are concerned about excessive street parking, which frequently obstructs our driveway. We are, as Ms. Marks quoted, constantly in a strained relationship with our neighbors from 118, the proposed property for reconstruction. The previous owner would park a large construction van directly behind our driveway daily. And 124 Burnett Street, which has been consistently rented to afford us clear access to our driveway. Obviously, this will only worsen under the siege of large construction equipment and the workers' cars, which will inevitably be parked in the street, some equipment parked even overnight. Burnett Street, as you probably know, is impassable by auto when normal-sized cars are parked on both sides of the street. So it basically cannot pass a third car if you have two cars parked on the side which have not been courteous enough to park as far as possible on both sides of the street. We have very serious concerns about the quality of life issues that this structure will bring to Burnett Street. Critical fire, ambulance, police, and other emergency response vehicles will potentially be impaired from effectively responding to other residences. Burnett Street is not a large thoroughfare. It is a narrow one-way street. The additional presence of multiple vehicles associated with the rental or owners of 118 Burnett may result in additional overnight street parking, which will, again, probably impair emergency response. Besides this real threat of impaired response, we are also concerned about the noise that such a large dwelling, be it single or multifamily, will bring to our neighborhood, as clearly evidenced by the rental of 124 Burnett Street, which was aforementioned in Joey Marks' letter. 2 summers ago, it was really quite extraordinary what sort of pain and suffering all the neighbors had the pleasure of dealing with. We have found ourselves calling the village police many times in the high rental season due to the loud partying and inconsiderate coming and goings during the hours of 10 to 4 a.m. We respectfully request that this charming street in the heart of the village retain its character by restricting large developments on small lots. There are other areas which are not in the heart of Southampton Village where homes built for speculation or profit can be built. I'd also like to respond, while I'm here, to Susan Sable sent us a separate letter to be read at the board meeting. I don't know if you want those comments as well. It's mostly contained in the letter which was read. She's the immediate neighbor at 110 Burnett.
We usually request that if anyone wants a letter to be read, that they send that letter in. We can't ask or request that you be a representative to that person or any other body within the community. It really is hearsay. Not that this is a court of law, but...
That's all right. So lastly, I'd like to object to the term gentrification against the current neighbors on Burnett Street, as read in the last letter.
Okay,
Thank you.
Please step forward.
My name is Rick Kearns, and I live at 130 Burnett Street. And I'm here again to object to this design. And once again, I think I don't see how anyone really can review these plans when you just look at an individual building and you don't see the buildings on either side of it. It's just impossible. And I'm sure that if you receive something like this, a drawing in the mail, it looks innocuous enough because the design, the architect did eliminate some of the excessive pseudo-colonial detailing. But I think the massing of the building, the height and the bulk are still totally wrong for our street. And I think if you look at this building in relation to its neighbors, you will see that it is massively way too tall and way too high. And here's Susan Sable's little house here. And I wrote to the architect because I really, I think it's difficult for everybody. We're at such a disadvantage in this community because particularly those of us who have smaller houses or live in neighborhoods where we like the smaller houses and the smaller look, because the zoning allows huge houses.
I'm
And
glad you mentioned that,
yeah,
because
they allow it.
we
But that
have to
does- yeah.
acknowledge that.
I know that, you have to acknowledge it, but it also says, and that's why our petition had we state the law. You still have to take into consideration the massing of the structure and things like that. That's your job. And you're the only board we as homeowners have to appeal to, because as we've seen now in the village, if the developer gets, all to redevelop property at a much larger, bigger a much bigger house. And then if he accidentally goes, breaks the law on the pyramid law or a setback, he can go to the Board of Zoning Appeals and get a variance, like on Willie Street. So we're here to try and keep our neighborhood, we realize it's going to be redeveloped, and we're not against any house on that lot. The house that's there is not appealing, but it's so small. It's at least innocuous. This building is going to dwarf everything around. And what I tried to, and I wrote to the architect, and I tried to show her that with the strong emphasis on the verticals in this house, it really emphasizes the height of the house. It doesn't do anything to ameliorate the height. And I pointed out that all these houses on the street, and this house is about the same gross square foot, gross area, floor area as the proposed house. And yet it fits in. It's a big box, but the way it's designed with the strong cornice above the first story, and instead of having a full straight wall going all the way to the top of the roof, it has a gambrel roof. It's really a big box, but it was by changing the planes and creating these strong horizontals, the architect or whoever built it, because it wasn't probably even an architect, but it was just done. But anyway, it lessens the impact of the height of this building. And this building, of course, is low already and very small. And this building is also really a small building, and used to be a very charming cape until these sort of graceless additions were added. But it's still, behind a hedge, and it still has a strong horizontal cornice line. Now, at the last meeting, and I didn't really pay a lot of attention, but the people from Post Lane who were here because they were interested in a new project kept talking about a building that they were actually traumatized, these people. They thought that this charming little 26-foot high house could somehow going to look like one of the new houses at the end of Post Lane. And so I went to look at those houses, and I want to show you these houses because here you have an example. These are both big houses, but this house, it has the height of the building. It reaches almost as tall as this building, but it's the full height is reached way back because the building slope, the roof line slopes way back before you reach the full peak of the full mass of the height. And there are these strong horizontals and so this building, it sort of fits in, it sort of sits there, it looks, really quite nice the way it's sitting in there. It's not objectionable. But you look at the house next door, and this is the one that everybody was so traumatized by. This house, you reach the full height of the roof line right on the front of the building, so it's really right in your face. Now this is what this building does too. By having these two gable ends facing us, you see the full height right away. It is not ameliorated by any setbacks or anything. And my feeling is that most of the houses on our street, the gable ends face to the side. and that this building could be redesigned. I'm not an architect, but I'm sure that they don't have to have all these gables facing forward this way. And it is more common in the village to have the gables go to the side. In fact, if you read the historic district, the National Register nomination for the Wickapog Historic District, it points out that in that area, what is very commonplace on those farm buildings is that the gables face the street. But that we don't have, if you read the National Register nomination for the village, it doesn't talk about that. This is just the wrong design at the wrong, on the wrong, for this street and for this location, I feel. And I think this really illustrates what the problem is. It's these gables are accentuating the height of the building. Because the other thing about this building is the full height, 35 feet. And it's by the buildings on this end of Post Lane are all pretty big. And yet it really is it has a very negative impact if you go over there and look at these together. This building is almost as high, but it's not quite as high, and it sits right there. You know, it looks like it's been there forever almost. This is in a street where all the houses are much, much lower. This is going to have an even more negative impact than this house on Post Lane. This is going to be much, much worse. It's the visual impact that I'm talking about. And I think that's so important. And I think that this is where this board can deny this application and ask that the architect come back and address the characteristics of our street, because this plan does not address these major characteristics of our street. The only thing in this revised plan is they removed some of the elaborate millwork. It's the massing and the design of the facade that is the problem with this building. And I appeal to this board to help us achieve something that we can live with, because we are going to have to live with this building. And I also want to point, and I think I'll give it to you since I'm not supposed to read anything for someone else, but the letter that you read from Susan Sable was the letter that wasn't read at the last meeting. It doesn't refer. I know.
Okay.
It's not your fault. That was, she'd wanted that to be read to the previous meeting. That relates to the original proposal. And she sent me
Yeah, she sent one in today to be.
another letter.
There's a number of letters that prior to, and there's a lot of duplications.
Well, this is a very
in letters.
eloquent letter that she wrote, and I think it ought to be read into the record. I think it's very important. I think it really, because I mean, the other thing, I remember at the meeting last time, Mr. Highsmith, you even brought out the point that what is very important, that this board, you can't do use, you don't do economics, you don't do this, you don't do that, but you do things like privacy and light and that kind of thing.
Since you addressed that,
and this,
I want to respond to that.
Mm-hmm.
Your comments alone mention that we are that board that you are able to communicate to and you're able to reach out to. And I think, and this has happened over the many years I've been on this board, and the last 5 years I've been chair, that people think this is the last stand, and they try to give the board more powers than it actually has the responsibility to do. We can't take in consideration use. We can't take in consideration rental
I'm
within the
not
community or of the property itself. We can't take in consideration the interior structure. I mean, I'm hearing all of these things and requests. I want to see interior plans. I want to look at the interior. It's irrelevant to this board because we're an aesthetic board, exterior. So I'm sorry if I sound a little frustrated. It's just that this board is always being requested to do greater and above what we're actually have a responsibility to do.
I understand.
We have a building footprint and we have a code that we have to abide by and we have to fall under. Applications come here with the assumption that they apply and they comply to that pyramid law, to the building footprint and so forth. If it doesn't, then that's something that has to be addressed through the building department because they're the regulatory agency. We now have to figure out how, within that parameters of that building envelope, a architect and owner can design a home that fits within there and still falls within the community overall. It's a hard plan.
It is.
But the reduction, the reducing, it's too big, it's too small, all of these things, I understand and feel your pain, but in the scheme of things, I can't say they're not relevant. It's just that we still have to abide by a village code.
I understand that.
These are matters in terms of size that maybe you need to speak with the building, I'm sorry, with the town board, a village board,
I understand that.
and go over a reforming or readjusting or a revision to our current code so that structures like this can't continue to be built if you feel that that's your issue.
Well, I do, but I understand where you're coming from. But, and that's why I think this building is so important. Because this building, obviously, I think we see now that this building is too big. Everybody on the street at the last meeting thought it was too big. And what we're gonna, and I
Still
think-
speaking of size and
I'm talking about design. I am not talking, yes, it's illegal. There's nothing illegal about this thing. What I'm saying is the impact of this building, the visual impact of this building is made more negative, more impactful on the street because of the design of the building, because it has a gable facing the street. The full height of the structure is right on at the street facade. And it's, when you have a gable in the first, it's a very vertical expression. And that's not what we have on our street. We have horizontal, we have the gables facing to the sides. This is a design issue. This is an issue that that this board should address, because this is not harmonious with our street. And that is really the most this is why I bring this up, and I emphasize it, because this is so disharmonious with our street. And here's
we found the letter.
And I think that Susan Sable's letter is very eloquent because it speaks to the issues that she is going to be the real, she's going to lose the most from this structure. She's going to lose all her daylight until afternoon, and she's going to lose a lot of privacy. It's going to be very negatively impactful on her property.
Thank you, sir.
Do you want this read now, Curtis?
Yes, please.
Okay, so this is from Susan Sable, and it says that, she says, "I'd be standing here before you if I wasn't being treated and recovering from surgery and chemotherapy. Hopefully I'll be well enough to attend the next meeting, so I'm asking you to adjourn this case until then. I'm asking the vote not be taken tonight since there are several serious issues and extremely long-term effects that will negatively impact my house and property next door at 110 Burnett Street. These concerns haven't been addressed. The 118 design overpowers my house and towers over it, leaving my house and property incomplete. I live on the east end because of the light. This will be ruined if this design is carried out. I worked very hard and made enormous sacrifices to buy my house and avoid the light. If my house is in the shadow and my light is gone, I won't enjoy my house. Not to mention how this may damage my cedar shingle roof by contributing to mold issues due to the lack of sunlight and negatively affect my grass and garden, which is a huge reason I fell in love with and purchased my house and property. I'm having nightmares about the proposed design, if built, taking away my enjoyment and devaluing my home. I rent my house in the summer to help pay my mortgage. Who would want to rent a dark house? It would be a major hardship if my house became worth less or undesirable to rent during this time due to lack of sunlight. How is it possible that a probable real estate speculator can buy a house on, to quote an ARB member at the 227 meeting video, the loveliest, most charming secret street in the village, with that very picturesque little house, which is hers, and built the tallest, most massive appearing house on the block for profit? She goes on to say, I'm very familiar with the street and the neighborhood. I'm troubled and struggling with the design of the plans. It doesn't fit. It sounded like she wasn't just talking about details, but also about the critical mass. In fact, that was everyone's first impression. Why does someone get to devalue the character of the entire block and the quality of everyday living for many on the street, not to mention the potential devaluation of my house, make a financial windfall, and get out unscathed while leaving others in the ruin of her wake? I don't understand why the roof has to be so tall and massive and imposing in design when there isn't a real attic. No attic, according to the owner, Mrs. Eaton Garland. Also, according to Miss Garland, she has closely followed the original house footprint. I can't understand how the 1,252 square foot first or ground floor of the new plan follows the original house footprint of 852 square feet. The math looks like 118 is now 50% bigger on the ground or first floor than the original footprint. If it followed the footprint, which I was advised it did, and the roof design was unimposing like my neighbor to the west at 104, whose square footage is about the same as 118, the plan wouldn't be so objectionable. 118 has a very small lot, 0.14 acre. My lot is 0.16 of an acre, 300 square feet larger. My house is less than 700 square feet, less than a third of 118, which is 2,252 square feet. My house fits comfortably on my lot. It has a nice small backyard with a small studio. How can 118 fit a house 3 times the size of mine with a pool and a small parking lot on a smaller lot than mine? Aesthetically, the 118 plans has a very cramped and noisy sensibility, and it is right next door to me. Unlike the house on the other side of 118, 124 is on a lot twice the size of 118. 124 is about the same square footage with a far shorter roof than 118, but it's not stuffed to the gills. 124 was on the market and will be back on it soon again, I'm sure. What about my lack of privacy? 118 second floor bedrooms and bathrooms tower and loom over my house and property. My privacy will be invaded. I saw no landscape plan. I heard something from Miss Garland or elsewhere that this property will be bordered by privet and privacy. Privet loses its leaves in winters and I'll be totally exposed. Privet looks pretty when it's in bloom, but it's not in bloom all year and is barren almost half the time and will do nothing for privacy. I would like to know what ideas other than privet Miss Garland has in mind for the west side of the property. The massive vertical structure of 118 is so wide and tall and close up to my property it will even block any breeze. Isn't it ARB's job to turn down a design that adversely affects the desirability of the immediate and neighboring areas and thereby impairs the benefits of occupancy of existing properties and the stability and value of both improved and unimproved real property? Article 116.30. Even if a design is within the limits of square footage, I'm under the impression that's why this board was created, to say no when it's not right. Isn't it ARB's job to look at each individual development in relation to the surroundings, changing some details like stubby chimneys or the shape of if a shingle or removing a cupola or weather vane or lantern? This doesn't make the imposing and massive appearances vertical structure go away. Admittedly, the original house is dilapidated and an eyesore, even though carpenters, groundskeepers, and painters who worked in Southampton Village all their lives owned it and lived there. However, the new plans is not the best answer. It will degrade the quality of my daily life and those of many of my neighbors, and I don't think I can stand for this. Because I wouldn't describe all that's being said about the design of 118 harmonious to our little neighborhood as harmonious, would you? Let's do this right, because I can assure you, if this plan is approved as is, I can assure you my attorney is at the ready and will handle any appeals and lawsuits that should arise from this decision. In general, I'd add this, that the purchaser, as builder, seems to have all the advantages in terms of time. She knows and understands her design scheme inside out. While some neighbors may learn about the hearing 5 days in advance, at most, while some don't learn about it at all. Then there's incredibly little time to review the drawing plans, maybe a few days or so, or one day to scramble. That's if you even know how or where to find them. It takes a lot more time than most working people to get to the building department from 9 to 4, closed on weekends. Then what about studying, diagnosing, comprehending, and even talking about them with your spouse, your partner, or your friend? Nope, we don't get that. I suppose the ARB didn't make these rules, but I, for one, resent this perfectly unfair advantage. Hopefully in the near future, a fairer system will materialize. Respectfully, Susan Sable.
Thank you. Any rebuttal?
I just want to mention that this isn't an historic district. There is no homeowners association on the block, and there's no restrictive covenant in the deed of this property. I've been an architect since 1988. I'm a trustee in my village. I've chaired the architectural review board in my village. I've been on the zoning board of appeals. I'm the consultant for the village of Old Brookville. I'm a very civic-minded person. I've been on both sides of the table many, many times. I'm a little upset that people think that what I'm presenting is all the adjectives that's been described, or that in some way it's going to devalue and it's gross. I don't even want to comment on that. I was hired to design a house that is appropriate, using materials that's appropriate for the village, that is within the law, the zoning code of this village. We took your comments, we listened to you, we revised the drawings. We're very pleased with what we're presenting based on your comments. We appreciate that. And I understand the process. We have taken, we have stepped back the mass of the building. We are sensitive to light, even for this building. We're not doing, we're here not to do harm. And I'm very.
Is there a formal landscape plan?
Yes, we did submit a landscape plan. And the other thing too is that,
just for the record,
we did submit a landscape plan, and the parking for 4 cars on the lot, and I think what people are objecting to is my rendering on the landscape plan showing 4 cars on the lot. That's village law. You have to park 4 cars on your lot. And I demonstrated that by showing 4 cars that were graphically shown. And I think people think it looks like a parking lot. I'm just demonstrating graphically that we're conforming to the code. The mailings were done as per the rules and regulations of the village. I personally spoke with Ms. Sable on the phone. I personally PDF'd her the drawings. I actually took photographs of the model and emailed her the photographs of the model to help her understand. I spent time with her on the phone, talking about the elevations, how it relates to her house. So I've been very cooperative in trying to help people understand what I think is a very lovely home.
Thank you. Brian, comments?
Well, I can appreciate all the efforts that went into the revisions. I think it has simplified the house quite a bit, but I still now seeing the neighborhood and the houses next to it, because I didn't have a street view before, I'm sensing the mass and the concerns of the neighbors as well. I feel personally I need to go over there and see the site, because I haven't done it yet. Now that I've seen these pictures, and you know, the scale of the pictures is obviously a little bit different than the scale of these drawings, so I just want to sort of see it for myself on where we are.
Christine?
The drawings were.
Excuse me.
But it's a 3D versus a flat, you know,
Right.
so.
Christine?
Yes, I do appreciate the changes that you've made, and I know that you've been very cooperative, but I do have some concerns about the massing of this house and the neighborhood, and I'm not ready to vote on this yet. I need to review it more.
It seems that there's a lot of obvious, there's a tone, and there are a lot of complaints and concerns about the size of the structure. It has helped that a rendering, and you did a great job there, but a rendering for streetscape showing the size and the impact. and get the neighbors to understand and acknowledge what that impact will do in terms of a visual impact. Whether it's taking a long, 8.5 by 14 or even wider, just to show exactly how the streetscape's going to go and what your impact is going to be once, setbacks, visual height, everything. Also, if you can, I know in modern day computers now, you can also input the trees, the hedging, and the landscape plan that you have proposed. Let's see a finished product. If you're,
I had renderings last week.
but if renderings are, if you can step forward, because he can't hear you because of the
Sorry.
microphone.
I did have colored renderings. At the
Understood,
first
but
meeting.
the comments have to do with the finished impact.
Understood.
We acknowledge that, the landscape plan would be there. We don't know what it's going to look like, because once looking at it here and looking at it on a one-dimensional piece of paper, it's very difficult for us to visualize what the final product will be. So since you need to win over quite a few, and as well as the board, it may help that we see the finished product in a more 3D
In the
rendering.
context of the neighborhood?
In context of that streetscape, meaning take 4 or 5 homes and show a streetscape.
I understand, and I understand that would help communicate the design of the house. But I don't think that the house should be restricted by other, it should not have to look like, sister houses to other houses on the street either. Again, it's not historic.
I don't think anyone up here has mentioned that.
no one has.
That has been mentioned, but I don't think this board has mentioned it,
Understood.
making every house cedar, white trim, and shutters. No one said that. We said we need to look at a better just a better
Excuse me.
better design showing exactly what the homes will look like and give us dimensions on how that finished product will be.
Understood.
And I think that will give at least the neighborhood a better idea of what your impact is going to be.
So if information is available in public record, how do I truthfully
We've had people do sort of.
how do I truthfully present something that if there's nothing available for existing homes as part of the public record?
I'm not sure what you
In
mean.
other words, to say that, the adjacent house is, the overall height of an adjacent house is X.
Sure.
If I don't know what X is, can I calculate it based on door heights and sort of, maybe, but again, if it's becoming part of a public record and if there are no existing conditions available, if I do a foil, looking into files, I guess, I'm responsible for the dimensions of this house, but can I be responsible for, coming back and showing you drawings, and how do I,
So you're saying that you don't know how to scale an existing
no,
home
I
to?
can, but I don't want to be challenged on it. If I draw a streetscape, am I going to be challenged at every height that I show, every pitch of a roof?
We're not asking you to design someone's home.
No, I'm not saying that.
We're
but-
looking at height, we're looking at design. Overall, I think it's the mass of your proposed project that seems to be the issue. So if you can display current mass of the existing streetscape and what your proposed would be.
Got it.
Also, it would help if I know in certain designs, they have the existing house outlined and overlap the new
The
house
footprint of the existing house? Sure, I can do that.
so that we can see the old and proposed,
But where it sits on the site?
how it sits on the site.
I think what's happened before is that
This house
they
sits
photographed the adjacent houses and the existing house, and then superimposed on top. what's proposed. So then you're seeing what's there.
Understood.
And what's going to be there. Nobody's expecting you to measure all roofs and, the
Understood.
circumference of each
Okay.
house, but just show how it fits into the neighborhood and what the scale is.
Understood.
And we know the house next door
Again,
is much
this is
smaller. It's not.
right now you don't have votes. So we're trying to come up with a rational direction
Right.
that will help you win over a few votes.
Sure.
And also the board. Ultimately, it's our responsibility to vote yes or no, not the community, not the
Right.
not the neighbors, but we ultimately have the final say on whether approved or non-approved. It doesn't seem today you have the votes for that.
Okay.
So we need to be persuaded a little further as well.
Understood. The other thing too is, what needs to be taken into consideration, and, some of the comments tonight just about the orientation of the gable versus the, it's really the dimension of the lot, and it's really a function of, if we had a lot where the street frontage was greater than, then this would fit fine.
That's the
But it's-
problem of pretty much the
Exactly.
majority of the property here in
It is a
the
very
Village of
small
South.
lot.
We have
Exactly.
small fronts, deep lots.
Right.
And what you end up producing are usually homes that are accordion. They're small fronts and they are very long.
Understood.
It's just unfortunately the building envelope we have here in the village,
Understood.
and probably why the pyramid law is how it is. Anything further?
I have another memo, or just another person signed this petition that was passed around through our neighborhood,
enough
just to
about
submit it.
it.
Another resident.
Okay, he'll be part of the file. Anything further from the public? Anything further from the board?
No.
Zach, any comments? Council, anything from the legal aspect? Thank you. Again, not the votes for this evening. You're requesting this board to adjourn till the next meeting? Motion to approve applicant's request to adjourn until our next meeting.
I make a motion that we approve the applicant Jacqueline Eaton Garland at 118 Burnett Street to adjourn to our next meeting.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
It's not mine.
Next application, please.
Next application is George Kaufman for 2 sets of driveway gates.
I'm Debbie Croft. I'm the architect for Mr. Kaufman. And I have the affidavits of posting and mailing. And I also have a notification that was returned. Sender. So the application is for 2 driveway gates. And I submitted a site plan and a photograph of the gate that they would like to copy, or that she likes, and then I superimposed that gate on a photograph of the driveway. They're wrought iron. They're set back 18 feet from the driveway. The posts are going to be, there are existing brick pillars, and we're going to set because we don't quite have the 18 feet to attach it to the center of the brick, we have to put the posts behind the brick. And the dimensions, it'll start out at 5'4", just below the coping of the brick pillar, and it swoops up and then it flattens out at about 7.5 feet. And the other photograph is a gate on Gin Lane, which we're copying, sort of. Not copy, but that was the precedent.
That's inspiration.
Inspiration, yes, thank you.
Brian, comments?
I think it's fine.
Christine?
No, it's fine.
Like the transparency, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Motion to, any public comment on the application? Motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the application of George Kaufman at 266 Murray Place for 2 sets of driveway gates.
Thank
Second.
you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I have to take a quick bathroom break. I need to get a glass of water.
Okay,
I'll
we'll
be
take a
1 second.
5-minute break. Okay, welcome back. Next application, please.
Next application is Meadowmere Partners LLC, one-story, single-family dwelling with arbor and terrace.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, board. Steven Sanabria from Fleetwood McMullen Architects, and I have some sets here for the board if they'd like, so that they don't have to use those big plans. What I have here is a new residence over at 66 Meadowmere. A very simple structure with two hips on either side. There are two eyebrow windows, front and back on the front elevation and rear elevation. And we have just an exposed rafter detail going all the way around and connecting to a pergola and a deck from the rear. The deck in the rear also has a small chimney for fireplace, an exterior fireplace, and 3 sets of doors in the back, and very simple, again, very simple and traditional.
You can turn that around so the camera can see. Brian, any comments?
How large is the lot on this? Is there a survey on that? Oh.
Huge.
Huge, yeah. No, I think it's beautiful. It's very simple. It's almost like a little
lovely.
pavilion.
I love it.
Yeah.
It's my dream
It's a
house.
dream house. Yeah, 2 bedrooms and a big kitchen.
Well done. I think it's great.
Considering what you could have built, obviously, hearing over the previous application. 1-story, beautifully designed, horizontal
Oh my
design,
God, beautiful
with hip roofs.
terrace, lovely
What can I
little
say?
eyebrow
Thank you.
window.
Any public comment on the application?
Yeah, it's like a dream come true. Okay.
Motion to approve.
I make a motion that we approve the application of Meadowmere Partners at 66 Meadowmere Lane.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
See how easy it is?
Thank you, have a good night.
I think that he's gonna be here for days.
Next application, please.
Next application is for Jean Callanan, 29 Terry Court.
You want your plans?
I'm CEO Liu. I'm sitting in for
I'm sorry?
CEO Liu.
Okay.
I'm sitting in for CMX Sammy. He told me that he put in plan for everybody. This is a proposed addition to a small pool house. Small addition to a pool house. This is the existing pool house. On the site is right this little bit, and then we're proposing to add on to it about 180 square foot. And this is the elevation that matches this. And you can see the 3D presentation.
That's cute.
The addition is lower than the existing pool house and is set, confirm all the setback and calculation.
Christine, comments?
Nope, I think it's fine.
Brian?
I think it's charming. It's great.
Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve?
I make a motion that we approve the application of Jean Callanan at 29 Terry Court for the addition to the pool house.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next application, please.
Next application
To
is
sit
for
through a lot of stuff.
a Gugliotti Development, 72 Halsey Street. Amend a prior ARB.
Yes, I have here the revised plans and along with the existing approved plans for each. And of course,
You wanna hand them up? Is this already in the file?
no. Oh, wait,
Is it just a smaller set of what's already there?
yeah, you have an existing file, yes.
Keep your work out
So
today.
you know if it needs to, it's very different.
The letter is just a letter confirming the heights of the ridges, et cetera, which is if there's any question on the height of the house.
This is a revision of a prior ARB.
On the back set was the.
Okay.
Back set was the approved house on 72 Halsey.
What is the revision?
The revision is,
So the entire house is new.
the entire house has been revised, yes.
It's completely
It's an
redone,
entirely different design.
Entirely different design.
That wouldn't be a revision, that would be
a reapplication.
reapplication. A revision is, you changed
a
a
little
window, changed the dormer, you actually changed the entire design of the home.
Then I was misinformed at the building department, because I handed all this in.
I just gave them all that responsibility.
This is all pre-checked with the building department. Sure.
Do you have what was, do you have
This is
what
what-
was approved before? This is what was
This
approved.
is what was approved.
It was approved before.
This is a big improvement over what was improved,
Yeah.
approved, so.
I'm sorry?
It's a big improvement over what was previously
I think it's very
approved.
approved. It's a
I-
village type home, which is, we built one on 194 Elm Street, and it's a takeoff of the 194 Elm Street, which seems to be.
Council, I yield to your advice with regards to legalities of seeing the application. It's a whole new.
Was this, Tony, was this published? I mean, was it, did you send out letters? Did you?
Yes, did everything by the book.
Yeah.
You post and mail the application again?
Yeah, it's unfortunate that the semantics got involved, but I think
these-
because he did post, mail,
Solar
and
panel, we
publish,
took the
that
solar panels off.
Okay.
regardless
So
of
it's
the
a completely different.
categorization, that it let everybody be aware that something is going on.
Okay, thank you.
It's completely different, but it's better.
It's very traditional, fits the village, I think, and again,
Mhm.
it's very similar to the one we built on Elm and Pelico on the corner, and we get many favorable comments on the house.
Brian, comments?
Just, I'd like to see some of the surrounding houses. Do we have pictures or
You have
anything?
pictures of the surrounding houses?
Halsey Street's a little straight.
Hmm?
Which one, is this Halsey off of Hill?
Yeah.
Hill.
Yeah.
Well, you seem to have a lot of new construction going
Halsey
on.
Lane, Halsey Street.
Street.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of new construction going on. And none of them seem to be fitting in with the village type house. I would say from these plans, this is the only one that really looks like a village house, except for the existing ones, which will probably be torn down since the shed is hanging off one of them, or the roof is hanging off one of them.
Anything further, Brian?
So this survey is showing what you propose now?
Yes.
6 bedroom, right?
Four bed, I believe it's 5 bedrooms and one in the lower level, which would be
We're
the
not
basement.
concerned with the inside of the house, but. Yeah, are there pictures of the surrounding houses?
You have a, here you go. This is for the prior application.
So are we treating this,
It's an all-new application.
so are the big plans in that file?
Everything's in
Yes.
there, yes.
These in big
Yes.
version?
And, reviewed with the building department before we made the application.
In terms of size, in comparison between what's currently approved and what is being proposed today,
I think it's very close in size. I think, The first home that was being proposed was being built for the homeowners. And if you look at it,
That's Hetty Creek.
they made the entrance, they made the entrance on the, instead of on the facing the front, they had it on the side of the house. I believe next to us, it appears to be a home going up about 6,000
Where
square
is
feet.
this house in relationship to where?
This doesn't, here's more adjacent property.
The
north
ones
side.
on Hetty Creek and Toilsome don't apply. The
Pardon?
pictures on Hetty Creek and Toilsome Lane don't apply to this. We're looking for
I didn't
houses
submit
that are on
those.
that street.
This is the previous file.
Yeah, I didn't submit anything from the previous one. That was, I think the ARB approved that probably in 2010, I believe.
Everything's in that file.
In here?
Yeah, they've, it looks like they've added stuff from the other file into that file.
Right.
Where's the existing house?
We bought the property without
Oh, you bought the empty.
empty lot, yes.
While they're looking, is there any public comment on the application? For the record, I think it's a better design.
That's next
I'd
to
be
You're
insensitive to what.
holding to the same building
Doors down.
envelope that was approved prior to this
And this house is gonna be
proposed
4,000
application
square
with a better design and better layout. I have no issue and objection.
in the same block as that.
Hmm?
The big house that we had trouble with, where they moved the schoolhouse.
Oh,
as
yeah,
well
yeah,
as
yeah,
the
yeah.
same block as that.
Oh, okay, yeah,
Yeah.
no, I know
So
that.
this
There were
is-
some
this
very
is-
small houses on there, but there were also. big
Yeah,
ones.
this
Again, I didn't
this will be
submit those,
fine.
I didn't submit
Yeah.
those
No, I know.
photos, yes.
Yeah, we know. Anything further, Brian?
No, I think it's a big improvement. I'd much rather
Yeah,
see this
I
built
do
than.
too.
Okay, Christine?
Yep,
Motion to
you
approve.
signing the little ones?
Yeah. Motion to
I
approve?
make a motion that we approve the application of Gugliata Development, Inc. at 72 Horsey Street.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Get that file.
That can go back.
I think my ARB.
It's that right here.
That's the old
Everything I
one.
handed to you was in the file.
Sorry?
I said everything I handed to you was in the file.
We acknowledge. Just for further, do another application. If it becomes a little,
I got the wrong device then at the building department, because I did go through the right channels, I thought.
and if you change the chimney, window, door, that's a revision. You change the entire design, just going forward. So I give this to the building department
And who does that?
to handle.
Who does this go to?
That's just duplicates. Next application, please.
Next
You vote on that?
Did we vote on this?
Yeah, I thought we did.
We did.
Yeah, we voted.
Yeah. John and Carol Mayhus, 59
Did
Breeze
you?
Lane.
I'm sorry.
I got it.
I thought so.
I did.
Good evening. Ann Pospisil, Pospisil and Brown Architects. This is a fairly straightforward application. It's for demolition of an existing shed/chicken coop. We're rebuilding it in the exact same footprint, the exact same mass, the exact same roof line. The only thing that is changing is we're changing from the new structure will have a wood roof instead of an asphalt roof. The new structure will be shingled on all four sides, whereas the existing structure is, has clapboard on one side and shingle on the other side. And there are some minor window differences between the existing and the proposed. I don't know if you were given a set of the existing, but I have that for you if
Please.
you'd like it. Was that yes?
Yes,
Okay,
please, I'm sorry.
No, that's all right.
I mean, it's not even stamped, nothing stamped.
Okay, motion to approve?
This way.
Oh.
Thank you. All right. Any comments, Christine?
No, I
Brian?
think it's fine.
Any public comments on the application? Motion to approve.
I make a motion, we approve the application of John and Carol Mayhouse at 59 Breeze Lane. Sorry we have to wait so long.
Thank you very
Second.
much.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One thing I guess I do need to give you though is the affidavit of posting, correct?
Send file.
Oh, it's in the file,
Yes.
okay, sorry. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next application, please.
Last application is for Patricia Fitzpatrick, 243 Elm Street.
Jay Fitzpatrick.
Okay, would you like to go over the amendment?
Yes. We had a approved set of plans with a flat roof. I was negligent in understanding the flat roof, and roofs leak, flat roofs leak all the time. So I just asked if we could put a slight 5-degree pitch on it, turn it into a gambrel, and
So the changes to roof pitch.
just the roof pitch.
Brian?
I understand.
So, how much higher did the house get?
Actually, it's lower than what was approved. It was approved at 30-foot 8.5, and it's 30-foot 3 inches.
Oh.
It's not negligible, but it's small. Didn't get higher. We purposely kept it lower so we wouldn't go over the height.
Do you know how to approve that?
I don't remember seeing it.
I don't remember it.
We did, in December.
2012.
Yes.
No, I don't have any issues with it.
Christine?
Nothing to do with
Yeah.
that.
Any public comment on the application? Motion to approve?
Make a motion that we approve the application of Patricia Fitzpatrick at 243 Elm Street.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All we have left remaining is the minutes for the 27th. All members,
I looked on my computer. I don't know.
Oh.
Weren't you all here? I know Brian.
February 27th.
the 27th, we were all here.
You were, okay, sorry.
Board members, did you have the opportunity to review the minutes from the 27th? Guys, did you have the opportunity to review the minutes?
Yes.
from the-
Yes.
Any questions, comments, or
No.
concerns?
No.
Motion to approve the minutes from February 27th.
I make a motion that we approve the minutes from February 27th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And motion to conclude 3/13/13 meeting of the Architectural Board of Review and
I
Historic
make a motion
Preservation.
that we conclude the meeting of the Board of Architecture Review and Historic Preservation for 3/13/13.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night.